All of this infighting and catfighting and shaming that's happening amongst small business owners, this is a perfect foreshadow of what's to come for the Canadian public if things don't turn around. I'm a Canadian, my name's Greg, I'm making this video for small business owners in light of the lockdowns happening December 2020. If there's one message I want you to take away from this video as a small business owner, it's this. It's a strong suggestion. I strongly suggest you don't listen to people who aren't in your situation. Most people aren't in your situation. The only person who could possibly relate is probably another small business owner. Yet 99% of the noise you hear are not from people who understand your situation at all. Let's start with public servants and politicians. Oh yeah, guys, everything's gonna be fine, just lock down, it's all good. Easy for you to say. When you have a salary that's paid for by taxpayers. In fact, if you're a member of Parliament in the House of Commons, your salary went up during the COVID-19 lockdown. Very easy for them to say that. Next, we obviously have the journalists and the newscasters. Hey, everybody, just stay inside, nothing to worry about. Easy for you to say, newscaster or journalist. That industry, by the way, is now subsidized by our Liberal government. Yeah, oh, you didn't know that. Back in 2018, $595 million was announced from the Liberal government to give to trusted journalists in Canada. This is why our newscasters hardly ever criticize this Trudeau guy. Think of it this way. Imagine if the Liberal government said, hey, restaurants in Toronto, for example, we're going to give you guys $500 million that you can draw upon to help subsidize your operation, because I know you're struggling there. Oh, by the way, there's a couple stipulations if you want that money. You need to put a huge poster of Justin Trudeau on the wall of your restaurant. You might think that's outrageous, but as I just said, why do you think they're never critical of this guy? There's a reason for it. It's almost like if you pay somebody to do something, they work for you, or vice versa. If somebody pays you to do something, you work for them. But that's what's happening in our news media. So all of that noise, yeah, I'm not surprised that they're all for the lockdown. They're just in complete lockstep with whatever the politicians have to say. And then the next biggest category of noise is what you're hearing in social circles, what you're reading online, all the comments in the comment section about this. And I probably don't have to tell you how toxic and ridiculous some of these comments are, but really, just as a reminder, this is not a proper reflection of how Canadians actually feel at all. These are just comments. These are people who are hiding behind their keyboards and also hiding behind the authority of public figures and what they say on the news and saying, yeah, lockdown. I love being on lockdown. I love collecting my CERB check and smoking my government weed and watching Netflix. Just shut down small business. This is not people you should be taking advice from. This is not opinions you should be giving much value to whatsoever at all. And we're going to jump into some more comments in regards to Adamson Barbecue, but I want to point out the obvious here, folks. This isn't about health and safety anymore. Closing down gyms for health and safety, that's a little, that's a stretch in my opinion. Telling people to stay inside is not good for your health. I think we can all agree on that. If not, maybe you'd like to tell me the big loophole that you have in your big brain there of how staying inside, binge drinking, eating Uber Eats, watching Netflix is good for your health. Please leave a comment below. Would love to hear your argument there. But the reason I know it's not about health and safety and more about fines is just these things that have happened in Canada. You've probably never heard of this. I don't know if you have. Maybe you have. In Walmart in Manitoba, they're covering up certain items in Walmart with garbage bags because they're non-essential items. When you talk to the people there, hey, why can't I buy this? They say, we'll get fined. They don't say, oh, health and safety. No, you will get fined if we sell you that. How is that about health and safety? That's about tyranny. That's about getting fined. That's not about health and safety. There's also a pastor in Calgary who is feeding the homeless, and he's getting fined for feeding the homeless under a COVID bylaw measure. Hey, more than 10 people are seeing each other outside, you're going to get fined. But officer, I'm feeding the homeless. These people have nowhere to go. They're going to starve to death or freeze. I don't care. For health and safety, you're getting fined. This isn't about health and safety. Another one is a drive-in church in Manitoba. They have a drive-in with a screen, shortwave radio. They have all this technology. People are staying inside their cars in their bubbles, and they're still getting fined. This is not about health and safety. Hey, just editing here. There is a quick update on that story. Manitoba has removed the ban on drive-in church services. Quote, the COVID-19 pandemic does not suspend the protection of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms or the rights of Canadians. Things can happen. When people stand up and stand for something, change can happen. Here's a great example. I'll link this in the description. Finally, with Adamson Barbecue, one of his bail conditions when he got bail was being banned from social media. What does that have to do with health and safety? And again, folks, if you want to know what's to come for the Canadian public, you're looking at it. They did not come for me, for I was not a pastor, so I did not speak out. They came for the small business owners, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a small business owner. Like, this meme, it's happening. You know, I'm not trying to scare you guys, but this is what's happening in our country. Another anecdote I'll bring up is from Dan Kelly. He is the leader of the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. He is trying to fight this stuff as best as he can. If you are a small business owner, then reach out to the CFIB because they can maybe help you, or you can help them sign their petitions because they are trying to fight this lockdown stuff. He shared an anecdote of a small business owner out front the curb, because you can't be inside, selling reefs. And they got fined for selling reefs outside. Can you imagine a couple of Gestapo stopping by? Hey, no selling reefs out here. You're getting smacked with the fine. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. This is happening. This is happening in our country. This is happening in Canada. Hi. And of course, the worst part is not even necessarily all this fining that's going on. The worst part is to watch the common people fight amongst each other over this and not see that we have common interests in what's going on here. And I have to single out this particular Facebook page that I used to be a part of called Food and Wine Navigator. It's Toronto area restaurants, restaurateurs, servers, chefs, cooks. And it is so awful to watch how this Facebook group completely craps all over Adamson Barbecue and anybody who has any amount of sympathy for him, because this guy, you could disagree with him. You can disagree with how he did it. He didn't really focus on health and safety. When he did open up, that probably would have made him look a lot better. But I think there are valid points to which he brought up. But, oh, no, talking about any positive thing this guy did, no. This is a no-no on this Facebook page. I'll get into that in a second, but if you're wondering why all this confusing fighting is going on and all this chaos, welcome to politics. You may have avoided politics your whole life, and as a Canadian, I totally get it. I did the same thing. I've only been following politics for about 5 years myself. But you know how I know that this virus, and especially this lockdown, has been politicized? 3 reasons. Smearing, shaming, censoring. Say it with me, folks. Smearing, shaming, censoring. Let's just follow this Adamson Barbecue thing. He opened his business. All of a sudden, he's an anti-masker. And then they found something in his past. Oh, he's a ableist white supremacist. And on and on. Oh, the other one I love is, he has 3 locations. He has 3 locations? This guy is basically Jeff Bezos. This is an actual smear that people have lofted at this guy. And this just goes to show why you really should not be listening to these people, because it's like, you have 3 locations, that's 3 times the costs, that's 3 times the employees, that's 3 times the overhead, like, these people clearly don't understand anything about business, and 3 times the risk as well. So the smearing happens of this character, and then the shaming happens, which is anyone who associated with Adamson Barbecue, shame on you. Anybody who had any amount of sympathy for Adamson Barbecue, shame on you. And it just goes on and on, the guilt by association game. And then finally, censoring. Adamson Barbecue got banned from social media. That tells me it's very political. That they're not going to let this guy have a platform anymore? Oh, the health and safety. I don't think so. And as I was saying, it's so painful to watch people advocate for their own demise. Like, these people in this restaurant group in Toronto are just crapping on him. Nothing was good about him. There was another thread that was made talking about how sad it was for all these small businesses being shut down. And the list is huge, and it is sad. It's horrible. And everyone's chiming in, that's so sad, that's so sad. And I chime in saying, are the sad people commenting here the same ones who gleefully cheered when the cops forced that barbecue guy to close last week? Genuinely curious. Then someone replies, there's a big difference between being genuinely concerned for our industry and supporting that asshat. There's the smearing, with a little bit of tinge of shaming as well, for even thinking I would defend this person. I replied with, I thought BBQ Guy's whole point was that these lockdown measures are unfair and killing small businesses. It's weird to see people in this group crap on him when he is clearly standing up for the interests of the industry. Is he not? I worry that the more these new lockdown measures are embraced by the industry and go unchallenged, the harder it will become for this industry to ever thrive again. I continue, I can guarantee you Tim Hortons, McDonald's, and other large chains are not challenging these lockdown measures at all because they know it will benefit their business in the long run. Competition will die out as the lockdown continues. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I just don't know where all of this passive optimism is going to get us. Then what happened? I got banned from the group, and apparently these comments got deleted. Censorship. There you go. So it's very disappointing to see that a Facebook page, Food and Wine Navigator, will discourage discourse. Any type of support for a small business who, is kind of questioning this stuff. And as I said in my comment, passive optimism. What's with this passive optimism? What are we waiting for? Okay, what do you think is going to happen? I think a lot of small businesses are going to close. Do you think it's justified? And once again, whether or not you think this stuff is political, we are seeing the characteristics of something that is political. This smearing, this shaming, this censoring. These tactics are nothing new. And this smearing and this shaming, this tactic is only used if the person or the movement is being effective. Adamson Barbecue gained a lot of popularity. He had a lot of support. He was being effective. That's when the smearing and the shaming began. This is how it works. If this video were to miraculously blow up, the same thing would happen. I would get smeared, I would get shamed, yada, 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 because that is how it works. And I do want to put the spotlight real quick onto the big boys, because we've been scrutinizing on the small businesses. What about shaming the big businesses? Is that happening? Leon's received almost $30 million in government COVID handout money, and now it looks like they've posted record profits, and they're just passing it off to their shareholders. That's disgusting. They laid off 70% of their workforce since the beginning of COVID, closed 72 stores, and hey, they're just pocketing that government cash. That's shameful. But I'm not saying grab your pitchforks and go after Leon's. That's not the point. These are desperate times. People are doing a lot of weird stuff. My point is that why isn't there more conversation focused on this? Why isn't there more shame being focused on larger organizations like this? Yet we're just targeting a little barbecue guy and getting mad at him. And if you want to talk about health and safety, 2 Ontario long-term care operators got $157 million in COVID-19 aid, and they paid off $74 million to shareholders. I'm not sure if this is the exact same situation as Leon's. It looks like there's more nuance to it, but there is a gross article where people are talking about how the care and the service in these long-term care homes wasn't that good. So during COVID times, with all this money, you would think that they would try to make the service better. I don't know. I'm not going to make any objective takes on this, but it looks like there's more to the story. I just think if you want to put attention and shame in a certain direction and you actually care about the livelihood of the most vulnerable, then this is the type of stuff you should care about. Not barbecue guy selling brisket on a Tuesday. But it's just really sad that people would have these disgusting sort of opinions while people are losing everything. And to think that, oh, government money will save us. No. No, it won't. No, it won't. We're in the honeymoon phase right now. What's coming is not going to be pretty. And these rules were invented yesterday. practically. So the fact that people are challenging them and questioning them, I think that's very natural. I think that's very normal. And I think shaming anybody for doing that is gross. It's disgusting. What? You're being a bootlicker. You're loving authority. You're being a lockdown Nazi. And trust me, I don't like that word. I don't like to throw that word around willy-nilly. But when I'm seeing people selling wreaths, getting fined, when I'm seeing small independent business owners being locked down by a row full of cops, it really conjures these images of real fascism, okay? Not some conservative in politics who has an opinion you don't like. I'm talking about real tyranny, real fascist dictatorship behavior. Oh, but it's for health and safety. No. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're wrong. There is so much to potentially talk about and work toward as a small business owner, with other small business owners, with your community. And all of this shaming and smearing and this infighting is not productive at all. Okay? We need to work together here. Let's work together here. Let's put politics aside. Politics should not even be mentioned. But we are participating in the tribalism back and forth, and it's getting us nowhere, and it's helping no one. So I suggest we really try to put any sort of opinions aside and think about solutions. Talk about solutions. Like I saw one here about, restaurants have to pay retail price for alcohol still from the LCBO. That's an interesting angle. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all sorts of stuff. Why not? This is your time. This is the time to say something. This is the time to stand up and say something. I am here to help. Send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on Twitter or what have you, because this is intense stuff that's going on. And I am working with like local networks and local businesses to try and stimulate more business for local business owners, because I want to help. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't listen to people who aren't in your situation. Strong suggestion. But I did also make a video addressing Adamson barbecue haters, if you want to watch that. I've also made some comedy videos on COVID-19 that are very inappropriate, but some people seem to enjoy. Thanks for watching.